Hey Archery Talk, this is Lucas, and today I've got my review of the brand new Mathews Lift X 33. I've had this bow in hand for about 2 weeks now, and I've tried to put it through its paces as much as I can to prep for this review. I have shot this out as far as 70 meters or about 76 yards, and I've shot it indoors at 18 meters, 20 yards, those distances and everything in between. I've shot some 3D with this bow. I've shot some kind of just warm-up target rounds with this bow, and early impressions are very, very good. Before we get to any of that, let's look at the specs. This bow has a listed axle to axle length of 33 inches, though in my measurements I'm getting at 32 and 15/16. It's got a listed brace height at 6.5 inches. Again, in my measurements, 6 3/8. And it has a rated speed of 343 feet per second. Now, a little while ago, I tested this bow for speed, so we get to look for those results in just a few minutes. So what is new on the Lift X versus the Lift I shot last year? I think number one on the list is limb shift technology. So in prior years, in recent years, you'll see companies like Bowtech and Elite come with some interesting new ways to tune bows without the need of a bow press. Mathews has now joined that list with their own kind of unique take on this whole tuning issue. Theirs is called limb shift technology, and it is really kind of an ingenious system. Again, works super easily, no bow press required. You do have to take this little screw out that's in the end of the limbs. You pop that out, and then that'll reveal a spot for a larger Allen key. And then with that, you can start making your adjustments. And rather than moving the cam or moving the cant of the limbs, what this limb shift technology does, at least what I've been told by Mathews, is that it kind of changes how far apart the limbs kind of spread, which will change your tune. So there's a little indicator on here, and so you can, you move, it'll give you a right and left indicator on which way you want to go with that. I do not know exactly how far you can make those adjustments. I don't want to mess this up and do anything damaging to the bow, especially before, again, I'm doing this before Mathews has released any videos or information on this bow really, so I don't want to break anything. So I've been making minor adjustments, but it was enough for me to get this bow tuned up very easily and very fast, shooting through paper and shooting down range as well as I could ever hope to. Also new this year is the new grip system. Mathews is calling this the Bond system, and there are 3 different grip options. On this bow that I've got is the Engage. This is the most kind of, I would say, a traditional bow grip. It's a 14-degree grip. It's flat on the front. It's flat and narrow on the sides. That is typically how I like a bow grip to feel. There are 2 other options, though, for those who want to have a slightly different experience. There is the Bond Contour, and then there's the Bond Taper. The taper is kind of an interesting choice for me because it narrows a little bit at the throat. It's a little wider down here. That might be a really nice fit for like a target bow, and I might look to try that in the near future if I can get a hold of one. I believe the grips can be purchased separately if you want to change them yourself, and they're about $100 to switch. You could also kind of forego the grip entirely and just shoot off the riser and then use side plates, which Mathews sells Bond side plates for these as well. Also new is the limb tech this year. I think there were people last year that had some trouble with some of the Mathews limbs. Mathews this year has built their new limbs. They say they are their strongest and most durable they've ever had. They are calling these Arc 7 limbs. And again, I can't tell you how much more versatile and durable they are than prior limbs because I didn't really have any trouble with last year's limbs. So I'm hoping I don't have any trouble with these ones either. So far, so good. I've put this in the press a number of times. No issues have come up whatsoever, and I'm hoping it stays that way. Now, if you look closely at the bow, you'll see a bow sight on here, and this is a new kind of cooperation between UltraView Archery and Mathews. I'm going to give this its own separate kind of video breakdown, in the next couple of weeks. I think the sight deserves that. There's a lot going on here. I have an UltraView target sight that I use on my 3D rig that I absolutely love. This is their hunting sight. I'll give you a couple of tidbits. This thing is crazy light. For a slider sight, this thing is just 9 ounces. That is insane. Again, it's got, you could easily move the slider up and down without even unlocking it. You can do that. That's so you can basically use it with a gloved hand without kind of you can make small adjustments. But if you want to do it, you want to open the lock, it kind of moves really smooth and fast and easy. It's got super visible sight tapes that they come with this thing. I've got mine sighted out to 100 yards. A couple other things. This has a rechargeable light in the UV target sight I've got. It's a battery powered one, so this one's rechargeable. You can pop this light off of there and then just kind of plug that in. You could use it, you could plug that in with your, into your side of your laptop or a portable charger or whatever you might have on you. What's also interesting with this is you can replace the pins at the front here. So this one comes with a 5-pin setup. You can just pop this whole cartridge out, and they have UltraView sells different pin configurations for you. You can get a vertical pin instead of the horizontal pins. You can get a 3-pin, you can get a 5-pin. I'm sure there's more options that I'm not looking at. I don't want to talk too much about this because I do want to give this its own video. It's a great site. Let's also talk Mathews bridge lock stabilizers, which I have shot on the last couple of bows they've sent me over the last prior years. Again, great system, lets you kind of make adjustments and change the stabilizer length if you'd like. So you want it a little bit shorter, just bring it in. You want it a little bit longer, put it all the way out. And it's got little indents in there to make that easier for you. There is also a rear stabilizer. Mathews sent me a rear stabilizer mount that they have made in conjunction with Shrewd Archery. And much like the front stabilizer, you can kind of bring it in and out as you see fit. It's also super versatile as far as the angle in and out, the angle up and down. Shrewd makes great products. I'm sure this is going to be no different. I've not played with this a ton. I've just got it in a position I like for now. But going forward, we'll see how that feels. And that leads me really into how this bow shoots. With a longer bow like this, with front and rear stabilizers, this thing holds like an absolute champ on target. I would say that it's I've been tempted to kind of make this my 3D rig for the year. Maybe switch classes and see how it feels. I've got this thing shooting. It shoots as well as my target bows for me, at least at those moderate kind of 3D distances that I would expect. Maybe not with the same level of consistency that I'm getting out of like a 37 or a 40-inch bow, but it feels fantastic. I don't feel like I've shot a short bow this well, but again, I've got this thing fully set up, really like a target rig outside of no lens in the sight. It's an absolute treat to shoot. I also ran this bow through the chronograph, as I mentioned earlier, and so we can talk about those speeds right now. So I have this set up right now at 30 inches of draw length with those mods. It's actually measuring at 30 1/4, which is pretty standard for most manufacturers to be about a 1/4 inch long. And I used a 350 grain arrow and a 455 grain arrow. And I ran those through the chronograph multiple times each. With that lighter 350 grain arrow, I saw an average speed of 330 feet per second. With the heavier 455 grain arrow, I saw a speed of 293 feet per second. So plenty fast. Again, it's coming in a little short than the 343 feet per second kind of rated speed, but that is absolutely normal for just about every manufacturer out there to be about 10 to 12 or so down off of their rated speed. And other people are going to get different results than I am. Keep in mind that this bow was tuned for the heavier arrow, so it's not tuned for that 350 grain arrow, because outside of the chronograph, I would never shoot a bow, an arrow rather, that's 350 grains. It just doesn't make any sense for what I'm looking to do with a hunting bow. So let's now talk about how the bow feels to draw. Just a few minutes ago, I shot a video about that. We're going to cut to that right now. So let's talk draw cycle. Right now, I've got this bow set up at 65 pounds. For the speed test, I had it at 70, but for my day-to-day, if I'm shooting a hunting bow a lot, 65 pounds suits me just fine. So just keep that in mind. So this is my first kind of hunting bow test of the year, but the draw cycle is kind of typical Mathews smooth for me. There is, I would say just a slight hump just past right here. Nothing serious though. It is pretty smooth overall into the wall. Letdown is not surprising. I've got 85% mods on here. I think letdown is usually a little bit easier if you've got an 80% mod, but I'm really have no complaints about how this feels to let down. And yeah, relatively smooth draw. Feels really nice. Again, 65 pounds, 30 inches of draw. Feels great to me. And as quiet as you would expect Mathews to be. Again, there are a few bows in the market that could match how quiet these lift bows have been the last couple of years. Mathews has that special sauce when it comes to noise and vibration on bows. And yeah, again, I'm gonna bring it down for a letdown, like kind of would have like a tree stand or something. And yeah, you brace for it, it feels pretty good. It's not hyper aggressive like you get from like a real speed bow. So overall, super nice draw cycle. And again, at the shot, as you remember, Mathews is quiet and just completely dead in the hand. Overall, again, great feeling bow. So there you go. It's a great feeling bow. It's a super accurate shooting bow. And again, if you want a shorter bow, the 29.5-inch Lift X will suit you just fine. Mathews also has a couple of other versions, a super short, like 27.5-inch bow, and they've got a long draw bow available. So kind of 4 different iterations of the Lift X, but this 33 is absolutely the one for me. The one caveat with this bow, I think, is the price. So at $1,469, this is a pretty expensive aluminum bow, but it's also kind of pretty lightweight. The 29.5-inch version is a hair under 4 pounds. This one is just a hair over 4 pounds. So that's lightweight. You can see by this ultra skeletonized riser, this thing shaves weight wherever it possibly can. And you got the new limb shift technology, the new grips, all that always comes with a cost. And as we all know with compound bows over the years, the prices go up as the technology changes. That's not going to stop happening, and clearly that's happening this year with this bow. You know, your dealer price may vary. I don't know how in demand these bows are going to be. I suspect very in demand, but we're going to find out in the near future. So, you know, maybe you could save a couple bucks. The 29.5-inch version is $110 less than this one at about $13.50 more or less. So it's a little bit less, but overall it's, you know, it's a premium bow. It comes with a premium price tag, and that's what you're going to expect. The bottom line is the Lift X33 is an absolute treat so far. I am thrilled I've got this in my hands. I can't wait to get more bows in this year to see how it compares. But this one is setting the bar high for the first bow in my hand this year for the 2025 lineup. Archery Talk, thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel an awful lot, and we'll see you soon.